What's up, everyone? This is the Tesla Beat podcast number 136. Quick shout out to Insta360. They provided these amazing Link 2C Pros. You can see Joe enjoying his as it follows him. Yeah, just check out the link if you're interested. It's a really good high quality camera. Second, quick shout out to Brian. Here, let's remove the other Brian. Brian, where are you? Okay, I guess not. All right, well, Brian, I know.
So I am in
Brian,
Guangzhou, China. I'm checking out some of the self-driving options here.
Brian's on a bit of a delay. Folks.
There I am. Maybe.
Yeah, where are you?
China.
Hangzhou.
I'm on a bit of a delay. So anyway, I'm in China. I'm checking Guangzhou. I'm near Shenzhen. I'm checking out all the self-driving cars here. Little buses by the mall that roll around all day by themselves, the different driverless and driver assist features in different manufacturers. It is pretty crazy times. Things are moving very quickly here, and I'm checking it out. I got my driver's license, so I'm road legal, and I've been having the adventure.
Nice.
Man, yeah. One of
Can't
the
wait
things,
to see that content.
Yeah, one of the things that's special about Brian is just how boots on the ground he is. He goes to the locations, gets an understanding. He's done such a wonderful job with a lot of the coverage for the Mega Pack. I mean, just you can think of everywhere he goes, and he wants to see what's going on. So even all of the coverage when they were assuming we were going to Mexico, and that clearly did not happen for Cybercab.
Smartly did not happen.
Smart move. All right, well, let's jump into it. So Tesla Beat, shout out to Joe the Prez, Cybertruck race car mint 400. He created the deck this week. All right, so we are down about 9%, and I will say that this is actually not as bad as I thought that was going to happen given the war that's starting in Iran, and it seems like everybody's coming to the party now, just because at least from what I've seen, Iran is literally firing bombs at everybody. So with that, I'm surprised that the stock hasn't taken a hit, but everybody has taken a hit. So it's one of those things where I think this was trailing at like 7% negative year to date. We're now down to, down from 405 last week. So, something to keep an eye on. World events, obviously, no one wants to be in a war, but that's just what the situation we're in. All right, Joe, I will pass the Tesla Semi is looking summer ready to you.
Yeah, it's got its summer body. So this is pretty cool. Ashley Vance got a full-on tour, and he was able to record the entire thing, which he's going to release on X and YouTube. And he got the full tour of everything that's happened with the Semi and the line production and everything. And he was impressed at how big it was. He says here it's enormous and quite spectacular. And I think that's pretty awesome that they allowed this to happen. They allowed him to film it first of all and get the word out. Tesla's doing whatever they can to make sure that politically, like, people understand what's happening, which I think is not a bad thing.
Yeah, no, it's well, like I said, I if you don't know who Ashley Vance is, he wrote one of the first Elon Musk books, documentaries. And so really cool to see it, especially too if you don't know that this is the redesign of the Semi. It looks more like the Model Y and the Cybercab and the Cybertruck. And then the other thing is, if you didn't know, as Joe was mentioning, like they are building a whole factory just for the Semi. So getting this type of inside view, I believe on the top left, it's Dan Priestley. I think he's in the middle, but either way, he's the one giving the tour. He's the, I believe it's senior director, maybe vice president of the whole Semi program. And so, I think it's one of those things where really cool exclusive access will be really awesome to see once this thing hits. And yeah, really, really cool.
It's pretty wild because all the ones that we see, even the one that you filmed just the other day out here in NorCal, was it's still that older style. You know what I mean? It's like it's gonna be wild to see these ones for the first time on the roads.
Brian, did you
I
want to say
thought the
anything?
old one looked fantastic. Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
the old one looked fantastic until I saw the new one. Then, of course, you're looking at it and go, well, that is much cooler. And the reality is, in the early days, Tesla was constrained by what people thought a car should look like, what people thought a semi could look like. And the truth is, we just want aerodynamics. We want a slippery vehicle that's going to get great range. Okay, so it happens to also look really cool. That's a bonus, but we're not as constrained as we were. The Cybertruck opened that door wide open. This factory is going to be. I've been following it for since the beginning and doing almost weekly updates on it. This week's going to be a big update.
Yeah, it's you're starting to see like I was at I was at the Fremont factory the other day, and I saw semis just going all over the place, and they were actually going from different parts of the factory. Hey Hans, what's up, man?
Hey, sorry about that. I was
All
trying
good.
to disengage as quickly as possible without being ridiculously rude.
Yeah, you're good, man. We were just talking about the semi, but I have not seen one of these new ones in the wild, but I've seen a lot of the old ones. Either way, you're seeing them everywhere logistically in Fremont. Like they're going from one side of the factory to the next to other parts of, Tesla has like, 3 or 4 other buildings that they'll send parts to. And then that doesn't include the all of the powertrains and batteries that they're taking from Giga Nevada and bringing here. So, a lot of testing and that leads to the next one, which actually shout out to Tolak. He saw one with Ralph's the other day too. So this is specifically the Tesla Semi with Height Logistics. And Height Logistics is in Long Beach. They're based California-based port, dryage, and trucking company. So looks like California, Arizona, Nevada, and Utah. But they have 25 e-trucks. So yeah, either way, it's happening. We'll see how this stuff gets moving, but it is very, very cool nonetheless. All right, Joe, I will pass this one to you, man.
Model Y is coming. Model YL coming, but not here to Australia and Korea. Australia and Korea is getting. The truth is, inevitably, this is gonna touch down in North America, but they are being very coy about how they're strategically placing this vehicle and not trying to, Osborne anything that could possibly come up with this Cybertruck speculations of SUV. So, so yeah, no, the Model YL, Australia and South Korea, it's coming. They are putting it down. It's pretty cool what each continent is able to produce and put out there. I know logistics wise, like I know some people are like, "Oh man, we need a smaller vehicle," but clearly the Model Y is selling, and the Model YL is very popular.
Yeah, it's dude, it's interesting, man. You're seeing it hit all of the markets now, or a lot more markets. And it's just going to be inevitable, especially in some of these, because this is now going to become more of a flagship car. As far as it's going to be their biggest vehicle, aside from the Cybertruck, it's going to be their biggest family size vehicle. And I will say that, with Tesla, they're not, at least here in the United States, they're not going to want to distract people at all from buying the S and X as the lines go down. They're going to want to sell every single one. They're going to want to get more orders in. At least my opinion would be that they're not going to do that. I don't know what's on Tesla's mind, but I would assume that, that would be something that they announce here in the United States in Q3 at some point. Oh, Hans, you're mute.
Yeah, hopefully in Q3. We'll see.
Yeah, my thought on that
timing.
is they got to have a third row, a proper third row vehicle. Oh,
Go ahead.
yeah,
Brian.
they've got to have a proper third row vehicle. The Model X is discontinued. The Model Y isn't really a real game changer in that way. With the third row, it's not serious. So I'm confident we'll get it at some point. I agree. I think it'll be this year. And I don't think we'll hear about it until the last minute because they're going to want to, not screw up their other sales. It's going to be popular. America likes big cars. That's just the way it works, as far as I'm concerned.
I will be
Awesome.
surprised though if they can keep it completely under wraps, just because of the supply chain that will be involved in that. And I think we'll probably get some reporting out of Reuters and other locations that'll kind of let us know beforehand. Hey, the Model Y, L, or hopefully XL, XXL will be coming to the U.S. later this year.
I don't know if people
Well, I
would be able to
I
notice it.
certainly haven't heard anything from anybody I know. Yeah, I certainly haven't heard anything from people I know that would lead me to believe that it's going to be made in Texas. I've said too much.
Oh, I guess the Prez has no comment on that.
I did not.
Yeah. Well, I think you just saw it in Korea. There was it was driving and it was all covered up and stuff, the whole fashion, everything. So I would assume at some point, if this is coming to the United States, it's gonna be the same thing. Like they'll be dropping hints. But I also don't know, because I'm not Tesla kind of can change up how they release things in different places. But I will say that for this, I don't know if they're gonna want to give hints of it coming anytime before 6:30, just because of all of the stuff that they have going. They don't want to stop sales for the S and X. At least that's my opinion. But what do I know? I mean, they could start dropping hints maybe in the coming months or sometime soon. All right. Cybercabs aplenty. Joe Tagmeyer saying more Cybercab action at Giga Texas on this rainy morning. We recently saw 25 on site, and now they have been moved for their next use. With 15 at crash testing, 4 at the factory exit point, and the rest being loaded up on covered transports. I would assume a lot of those also too are probably like coming here to California, especially for the testing. But he also said, yeah, he pretty much said that possibly headed out to other places. But yeah, we'll see. At least again, my opinion is that it's great that they have this up and running. But really, it's going to matter of if Austin is the first place that they can put more like a ton of these on the road. It's all going to be testing, and then it's going to be what is the capacity for Austin, for example. This is not a how fast can they put these out. They got to be smart about it. They don't need to put out tens of thousands of these a week right now. They need to be ready to turn that button on, and they want to be ready for it. But right now it's about getting these to the testing areas, get as many of these on the road, because now, for example, let's say they want to go to like Philadelphia. They don't need to use a Model Y. If this is going to be the vehicle for all of the unsupervised stuff, they can do all of the testing in there. But who knows? It'll probably be a mixture of both. But we're starting to see more of them. It's officially happening now.
Yeah, I think they just recently increase the robotaxi fleet size. I think it's no longer limited to like what I think it was like 1,500 or something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but I know that they definitely have been increasing, but I think it's been a couple weeks since I saw some numbers. All right, Joe, this one's to you. Hear me out, man.
Ford CEO. Yeah, he's like, my bad. Yeah, we didn't realize. Well, you don't know what you don't know, is what he was saying. But if he had watched any of the Monroe live videos, he would have known. And apparently he missed out. They had a great breakdown, and once they took it apart, they realized that they had made mistakes. I don't know what I know that the T3 is slated to come out, and I know they're going to revamp a Mach Eve type whatever they're going to do, but it's going to be interesting. I mean, it's interesting to see what's going to happen, but for him to admit that we should have just made an all EV platform from the get go instead of trying to, cover our biases and stay true to what we already had off the shelf. It's, yeah, no, you messed up, man. Bad move.
Yeah, it's I think it was what shocked me the most was when he said something like when we ripped apart a Tesla, I was absolutely flabbergasted. The Mach-E's wiring harness was 70 pounds heavier and 1.6 kilometers longer. We didn't know what was going on in Tesla's engineering minds, but now we understand. Yeah, I think it's just I think the thing is that, with Tesla, the different mentality is you have the new boys to the block, right? They don't bring all of the baggage and legacy history with them. They may have some automotive background, but they came at it from a first principles perspective of like we're starting from scratch. Like, let's understand what's been done, but if we don't need to those parts, let's delete them. I mean, that's literally the mentality. And what's going to be crazy is we'll see what happens with Monroe Live if they end up doing it, because I don't know if I haven't seen any like teardowns recently, but also I haven't been following their channel as closely. But what I will say is that when if someone tears down the Cybercab, that is going to be an engineering marvel. I'll be honest. Like, what I've seen, at least doing some of the factory tours, how the unbox method, the wiring that they're doing, and how simple they've made the whole wiring harness as well. It's just gonna blow people's minds, and it's gonna be, in my opinion, we'll see what Tesla's strategy is as far as how they come to market with charging people for trips, because when you do longer distance, unfortunately, it's still about the same price. It's the short distances that are king for Tesla right now. But I hope that they can go low enough where it's like they just attract the traffic, because that's going to be the biggest thing is why are people going to stop utilizing, Uber and Lyft? Obviously with Tesla, it'll be because they're unsupervised, but they're going to need to bring those droves of people in, and they need to attract them with, obviously the better experience, the cheaper rides, and all that other stuff. But that's just my opinion. Do you guys have any thoughts on what Jim was saying?
Yeah, I think, it was funny when he said, now we know what was in the minds of Tesla engineers.
Now we know.
Yes, operative word was in the minds of Tesla engineers a long time ago. When they were telling you that you were terrible at designing EVs and you didn't believe them, they were right back then. And now you're just finally catching up to realizing that they were right back then. What are they right about today that you're not even thinking about yet? That's the big question. And, your points about the Cybercab really point to some of that stuff. They're just so far behind. And I think the progress of the Cybertruck and what we've seen over the last, couple of weeks with the cheaper model being released, exploding the order backlog, having to have the prices raised so that they can match supply and demand. This is the reason why the Silverado and the F-150 Lightning are having to be, the Ford and GM are having to retreat from those vehicles, is because those vehicles have no pathway to ever be profitable. And if Tesla has a pathway that's clear and achievable to sell Cybertrucks that are better EV trucks than the Silverado and the F-150 at price points that they can sell them, Tesla will be able to sell the Cybertruck for a lower price than Ford and GM's COGS to consumers. And that's, not something that these other companies can compete against. And it's only going to get better from there. And it's not just going to be their EV trucks that the Cybertruck is going to outcompete. It's going to be their ICE trucks eventually as well, and that eventually is not that far out. And so this is just a terrifying thing for a company who makes its entire living essentially selling pickup trucks. And this is what we have been trying to tell Mr. Jim Farley for a long time, and he has seemed at different points like, oh, I kind of get it, but maybe he does, and it's just not like, maybe he's in a Kobayashi Maru situation that is unbeatable, and he is unfortunately not Captain Kirk. It just is a terrible spot to be in. But I'm curious to hear what Brian's thoughts are.
If we can get Brian. Oh, Brian, did you want to give your thoughts? Maybe you're there. Okay, maybe not. Yeah, I think for
yeah. It was pretty clear that they were trying to.
Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Did it not come through? My delay is too bad. I apologize. Okay, so when Tesla was first selling their cars, they had a chance to look at, they had a chance to tear them down, and they did, and they targeted that, they benchmarked that. But the problem is Tesla's a moving target, and they can't seem to wrap their heads around it. So what they're doing, what Ford is doing today, is trying to copy where Tesla is today. So in 3 years, Ford will catch up with where Tesla is 6 months ago. You can't win doing that. You can't even catch up, let alone keep up, and it's going to bite him in the butt. And I think Hans was right on all points. Good job.
Yeah, like, I met with, Joe and I, we met with Jim Farley, and it was super nice of him to invite us out to Laguna Seca. We had a meal with him. We were hoping to do, and this was, I guess, technically 18 months ago now. But, we were hoping to do an interview and stuff with him. And this was like back when, Ford was kind of outside of Tesla, was going to be the American leader on the EVs. And at least, even still, my opinion then is, I actually I really, at the time, and I still have a respect for him and the company and what they've accomplished. But like, my bar was so high because I thought that this is where the route that they were going. And at least, during our conversation, it was more of like them kind of backpedaling. And it was right, actually, the week before they made the big announcements of like all of the cutbacks and all setbacks on the EV program. But it was more of like they kind of just went back to like their bread and butter. And it's kind of like sad of like, I understand your bread and butter, but why don't you do this with every single car that you make? Because their bread and butter is F-150 fleets. And they literally have which is their biggest customer base. And it's obviously for them, the industry is huge. But they literally have their engineers literally hand in hand with their top customers for the feedback loop. And I'm like, how come you're not doing that with every other car? Like, and also too, why, like, don't limit yourself to your bread and butter. You need to, like, in the ICE vehicle world, you need to oil that machine really well, get it, keep going and keep leading, but you got to create another couple of other stints where you're doing it. And they were primed to be like really number 2, right? I mean, as far as affordability EVs, and they just couldn't, right? And it's a big bummer. Now they got rid of the, what's it called, the Lightning. Shout out to Chris Bowe too, and he was talking about just even the quality of probably the Mach-E's going forward are going to be, the ones that are made today are probably going to be the best ones, and it's just the quality is going to deteriorate. But yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. I mean, the only reason why China is obviously not winning here is because we're blocking them, and it's because of Tesla. But really, the only other real competitors are companies like Lucid and Rivian. And even with Rivian, like, there's the R2 is going to be huge. But again, I think they have, in my opinion, leaned so far to like the adventure culture that it's really kind of typecasted the car a little bit. The R2 should be their mainstream one, but the people, I'll tell you right now, in my neighborhood, people are buying the R1S because they typically would buy the Chevy, the Chevy Tahoes and things like that. But this is soccer moms. This is not adventure community. And so I don't know if they really know like the base, like the people that are actually taking their cars off-roading and stuff is only a small percentage, right? But again, this is not a Rivian
I
conversation.
Well, I want to touch on that for a second, though. I wish Rivian the best, but I'm sorry. To me, what it looks like is that Rivian is making the same exact mistakes as Ford. They're just not quite as far behind, and they don't have quite as much overhead. Like the R2 is trying to create a Model 3. And like they're nowhere in the conversation when it comes to autonomy. They're not going to be anywhere in the conversation when it comes to autonomy anytime soon. Like they're going to be better than Ford and they're going to be better than GM. Okay, whoop-de-doo. Is that going to be enough to save you when millions of cybercabs are being delivered all around the world? Like, do you really, really want to buy an R2 in a year and a half from now when maybe you don't really want to own that second car? Maybe what you want is just to hire a cybercab to come pick you up and take you to wherever it is that you need to go when you need to go there and save money. You won't have insurance. You won't have all these things like, I think we're going to be in a phase for a while where a lot of people want one car that's theirs. But then for any additional car needs, they're going to be leaning into using things like the Cybercab network a lot more. And like Rivian is betting the farm on a extremely imperiled market segment and TAM. And yeah, I don't know, like, and they've never made money as a company ever. So how do they survive from their position? And it just doesn't seem like there's good strategic options available to them other than to get bought up by a company like Google or Apple or somebody who doesn't mind their losses and just needs something to build on top of. Like that is the exit strategy. There's not a survive and thrive model ahead for Rivian.
100%. Joe, were you gonna say something?
That's yeah, that's pretty spot on, man. Like he's right on all points, and it's unfortunate to see because, like you were saying, like we got only so many players for American EVs, and what's inevitable to happen is China's gonna come, and people don't have the same loyalties like people would think they would. Like they're not going to care. They're going to go for the cheapest vehicle, and people. Monroe had said this. Sandy had said this once. How people shop by, like pocketbook price. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what people look at. They look at their monthly payment. They don't really look at overall safety. If they did, Tesla would be selling way more units than they are right now. It just doesn't. It doesn't happen that way. People shop by price and what they can afford, and that's how people move. So it's gonna be interesting to see what the future holds for these companies, Rivian, Lucid, and the others. But the R2, hopefully it does well. I mean, American ingenuity needs it too, but we'll see what happens.
We will see what happens. Brian, did you want to say something? Okay, cool. Sounds good. All right. Looks like so just so you guys know, I think it was last week where Elon did an interview with, I believe it was Andre who runs the Giga Berlin. And long story short, March 26th or 28th date, they may get some of their first approvals for FSD in the Netherlands. So that's going to be a huge deal. But now you're also starting to see the, as they feel like they're progressing, they're going to start, getting the Berlin factory ready for this. So what do you see happening? An electrical design engineer for robotaxi autonomous vehicles. And it looks like Tesla is hiring now. So really, really exciting. Again, I want to see Europe win in this field, really Tesla win in this field but the regulation has just really killed for much to happen. So hopefully that can change. Tesla's been I think they talked, I think it was a couple months ago, about how people were talking about the amount of pages that had to be written for that Tesla had to literally write for the EU to like start submit for approvals. And it's how it's like, just how backwards it is. This is documents that no one's gonna read. And so yeah, it's just cool. But either way, I love to see it happen, and glad to see, things moving forward. All right, Joe, this one's to you.
Yeah, the Cybercab platform being modular is an idea that's been floated around, and it looks like there might be some possibilities. I wish he was here today, but it looks like MDR says that in addition to the 2-seater Cybercab, Tesla is producing a 5-seater Cybercab for the robotaxi network. Rumor is there will also be a 7-seater version for adults and a 6-seater. So this is pretty interesting that they could eke this out of what they're doing. Brian, I know you're on a delay, but I really want to know what you think is possible out of the factory.
Yeah, it's crazy. I know I love Matthew, but it's a dream. The car's too narrow to make it a big, long bus. I haven't heard or seen anything that would hint at modularity for it. You could do it, sure, but I haven't seen anything suggesting that that's remotely in the cards. Tesla doesn't like to develop wide. They like to develop one thing and perfect it. Otherwise, we would already have a cyber SUV. We would already have the YL. We would have all those things. We would have a medium-sized truck. Let's just be excited about what we get. We see people like Gary saying that, oh, 2 seats is wrong. Imagine if your restaurant only had 2 tops, tables for 2, right? But you can push them together, Gary. You can get different tables. Imagine if your restaurant only had tables that seated 8, like your dining room table. Someone said that on X. I thought it was brilliant. And you need to have the flexibility. If you don't want a 2-seater car, that's fine. I get it. Maybe you need car seats. Order one that has room for car seats, or that has car seats in it already. It's called the Model Y. They've sold quite a few of them. They're on the roads today. I'd love to see infinite designs on this in the future. I still don't think we will. I think we'll see the Y for groups of 3 or 4, and I think we'll see the Cybercab for almost everybody. And then, of course, robovans will be critical, if not just for the Boring Company, but for all of the bigger needs in group autonomy. Even for party shuttles, it could be helpful. For airport shuttles especially, those are fixed loops that they're running all day. That's just an above ground boring loop is what that is. They're ready for it. I think it'll happen.
My immediate thought, actually, reading that, is that these are variants on existing Model Y and forthcoming Model YL vehicles that are, somewhat modified to, just remove steering wheel and pedals, create the ability to sit up there in that front seat for a passenger instead of have it kind of blocked off. And I mean, that when Matthew's talking about that, those were my initial instincts. That we're not going to be using the same battery packs or structural castings or any of those things from the unboxed method. We're just going to be expanding the coverage of existing Y, manufacturing capacity.
Then all my confidence in Matthew has been restored. It's a very small screen I've got here, so I couldn't quite read it. If that's what he's saying is fill the fleet with the 3s, Ys, S, X, great. That's perfect, especially if you're letting customers like us put ours in the fleet. This group, we know people who have dozens and dozens of cars they rent out on Turo. If they can make more money putting it into the robotaxi fleet, they'll do it. If they get a car back and it's not due for another 12 hours, send it out. heck, get Tesla to clean it for you at their depot. Saves you one extra bit of work for your clean out for tomorrow. There's a lot of ways that could work that way. But when I saw modular, I just assumed that was pieces. I know a lot of people have speculated that we would have seen Cybercab in a more configurable design. And the reality is that Model Y is not suited for unboxed as it currently exists, and redesigning it for unboxed would be just a whole new car.
Yeah, and you're probably looking at a different tier, right? It's maybe replacing more of the Model 3 than it is the Y, because again, the Cybercab is optimized for like lowest cost per mile, right? They're literally trying to, maximize profit on, the autonomous rides. And that's the big focus versus unless they're building a car that's going to be, maybe because obviously with Cybercab, you can't just have that be your only fully autonomous vehicle. That's why they have the Y and the 3 at some point. But who knows? Obviously, the Revolvin could come at some point too, but they will definitely need different vehicles for different sides because I think that's gonna be the biggest thing, right? I want to be able to get into one app, order whatever type of car that I want. I don't want to have to be like, oh, well, I'm here and I can't do anything. And that's part of the problem now with my biggest frustration probably with the Robotaxi app here, even in the Bay Area. 9 out of 10 times I open the app, there's just high service demand and I can't use it as much as I want to give my money to Tesla. It's just not at capacity. And this happens, again, 9 out of 10 times. So, but now if you're going to start carving it like, you can't get access to certain vehicles, it's going to limit how Tesla scales, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think they want to limit that. So
Yeah.
I could see them adding Model Ys to the more Model Ys without steering wheels and pedals to the fleet. It just the Model Y does so much better on FSD than the Cybertruck. We have a Juniper, and it's freaking incredible. So I can see that.
Exactly.
Yeah, my initial thought is that those would be variants on the the low end trims, that there would be one more additional instead of, and I don't, it's hard to say if they would be rear wheel drive. I would think that they would be rear wheel drive if they're going to be purpose built by Tesla for the Robotaxi fleet, because you don't need all wheel drive unless you're deploying them somewhere that's slippery. And yeah, so take those and then do some other purpose design work to make them a little bit more suitable for Robotaxi dedicated usage instead of anything that's really consumer focused.
Exactly. All right. Next slide. All right. Tesla is the best in sustainability. Tesla just got, is first in the supply chain sustainability in the 2026 lead the charge auto EV supply chain scorecard. Quote from them. I'll just read the first couple sentences. Tesla remains the top performing automaker of the leaderboard for the second year running and increased its overall score by 6 percentage points, while Ford managed 2 percentage points. The gap between the companies has widened, and Tesla's almost 5 percentage points ahead of Ford. Yeah, for me, like, I'm actually surprised that this is not higher. But at the same time, like, shout out to the team at Tesla for just working ruthlessly to make to really remove bottlenecks, to make things move smoothly, to build supply chains on the continents that they're on. That's always the hardest piece. When you think of supply chain, a lot of times there's parts coming from different places, and so a lot of times Tesla will do their best to literally build as many things or get sourced as many things locally when possible, right? And now they're on 3 continents: Europe, North America, and now obviously in China, so APAC area. So it's just yeah, yeah, it's exciting. Just a more, I think, awards to them, and they continue to lead the way. So, and shout out to our boys over at Ford too.
I do have to agree with you, John, though, that that gap doesn't pass the smell test, and I would be curious to dig into the methodology there because, just like we saw during the pandemic, people's actual supply chain resiliency is, in fact, much lower when weird things happen that are unexpected than people anticipate beforehand. So, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I think, what is it? Jeff would probably have a good idea of potentially. I don't
Yeah.
know if he's familiar as this one, but that would be the biggest thing is what's the sniff test on this? Because I would assume in a lot of cases that Tesla is way further ahead on some of this stuff. But as we know, Tesla, they don't have this insane amount of variations as well, right? Their supply chain is pretty streamlined versus like a Ford who has 15 different variants for the F-150 or maybe 60, whatever it is at this point.
Oh yeah, that's true.
All right, but that would mean though that their supply chain should actually be way further ahead. So that's why again it doesn't. I agree with Hans. It doesn't pass the sniff test.
Oh, so I think this report is more about ESG sustainability scoring than
Yes.
supply chain resilience scoring, which is kind of what we were talking about. So maybe, yeah, they're measuring something different than what I was thinking they were measuring. That makes a little bit more sense.
No worries. Thanks for checking it. All right, Joe, to you. Slay.
FSD slays Netherlands Dragon. So the FSD supervised in the Netherlands navigates chaotic traffic in the city center with ease. So these names, boy, Ryan Vanderveer. So Vanderveer. So yeah, he says I went for a full self-driving ride in Hague, Netherlands. 30-minute ride was completely smooth, like a chauffeur was driving. I was really impressed, especially in the citywide center, bikes, traffic, chaotic, and all that. It's very prudent. These are things that we know because we've been using it for a while. But when these things start to roll out, like to other countries, and they start to experience, like we saw it with China, they were taking that thing on hills, mountains, and they were doing all kinds of stuff. It just to putting it through stress test. So, but these are countries that didn't know, what I mean, they didn't know, and so now they're able to experience it, and they've been seeing all the videos online that go viral and stuff like that. And now they're able to see that, okay, wait, they weren't kidding. Like I can really just sit here and it just drives. And for all the analysts who are like, oh, so and so is so far ahead and Tesla can't. I think it's becoming very clear that you don't need all of the stuff that they claimed you would need on the vehicle to do what it can do. It's very clear that this works not only in America, but it works in China. It's also working in the Netherlands and everywhere else. I mean, vision just works, and it works because it can see what it needs to do. And so I mean, Tesla's proving it time and time again. It just works.
Yeah, I mean they're in China, Japan. I think they're in Korea. They're all over the place. You're seeing them pop up all over the place. So it's exciting because yeah, this is it's just again about getting in these countries, getting the miles, the testing, and then releasing it. So hopefully they can do more. And thankfully, given their supply chain, or not in supply chain, given how global that they've become, it's just it's a matter of just working with regulators to get through the approvals.
Yeah, it's almost like all you need to be able to drive are a good pair of eyes and a semi-smart driving brain. Who'd have thought? I mean,
Who would have thought?
did humans actually learn how to drive in all the different countries? Oh yeah, they did, didn't they? Interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy too because you think of I the thing that's coming to mind right now is just because we talked about is what Jim was saying. Well, now I know, or if I now I can understand what was on the Tesla engineer's mind back then, right? Or what, and again, the keyword was, but like in the same situation, right? You have like a company like Rivian. Well, they will not be able to scale their testing. So I get, at least when Josh West was telling me, he's like, the main reason they're utilizing, and again, feel free to fact check me here, they're going with Lidar is because, they just will not be able to scale the vision testing that Tesla will, and really no company will. But no matter what, I guess what I'm trying to say is no one is taking seriously the way that Tesla is tackling it. And I don't even think they have any other copycats that are using vision only. Everybody is using radar and lidar, and yet what's going to end up happening at some point is just that the hindsight's going to be 2020, and everyone's going to realize like, oh, we may not need all of these, like this is going to save me an extra $50,000 of cameras that I don't need to go buy, or lidars that I don't need to go buy, right? And I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that just strikes me as trying to use hardware to solve a software
So
problem.
Xiaopeng in China is actually doing is actually also doing vision only. Xiaopeng, it was about 3 years ago, switched to vision only because they saw what Tesla saw. And they were the first to do it, and I think one or two others have done it so far in China, and they've reached the same conclusions. It's introducing more noise. I had a chat with someone about Rivian's approach. We're going to do one LiDAR. Ooh, the crowd goes crazy. Well, I think you guys might have already been crazy if LiDAR is something you're going to cheer for. What they're saying is, well, we're going to use it for now, and as vision improves, we'll just deprecate it. Great, but you're going to sell 1 million, 2 million of these R2s with that hardware, and you're going to put it in every car. It's good. Yeah, but it's only a couple $100. Okay, so 1 million cars. That's a couple $100 million you're going to throw away for what? I don't care how cheap it is. If it's not supposed to be there, you're wasting time. And that's just the part. Now you have to do the wiring harness, the validation, the installation, the warranty on it. All of that adds up real quick. And Rivian's already got a cost control problem. Rivian plans to sell their software suite for $2,500. It costs more than $2,500. If their take rate was 100%, they might break even. The approach is all wrong.
Yeah, and as we know, being Tesla owners here, we know how fast the technology is advancing. So whatever they're putting on the car today may not even be able to handle what they need in 18 months. So and you see it happening with, shout out to the Hardware 3 people, where they're stuck in purgatory, and who knows, how Tesla will make it good for them. But the reality is that the more time that goes on, the less idea of Hardware 3 being able to kind of come to where it needs to be is becomes less obvious, right? It's just going to be clear they're going to be left behind. But I guess my thought would be, I'm surprised
I
that
still disagree.
Yeah, I think because we're like Hans is disagreeing for a reason, because we're using it hands free now. So clearly there's a way to where they can do it. Maybe not sleep in the vehicle type or whatever, but they could definitely pull off some type of light version that could do the majority of the things that we experience.
So my stance on the only way to compete against Tesla, if you want to, in a self-driving world, is you're going to have to do the hard thing that no one even wants to try to do. And you're going to have to beat them on software. And I think software is clearly the area where there might be an opportunity to figure out, how do you train a better driving model? How do you train it faster? How do you get it to operate better with lower resource constraints? And what we see clearly in the trend in AI is that what was nigh impossible 18 months ago, you can probably fit on a 5-year-old Mac today, maybe an iPhone. And that is a clear technology trend and capability that points to a future world where the software component of what it is that Tesla is doing is not necessarily a mode. It really is the hardware that they're going to have deployed into the world. And so that's the thing that, I don't think people are seeing the engineering velocity that, if I was at Rivian today, I would fire the entire self-driving team. I would go hire some kids who dropped out of school to play with frontier AI capabilities, and I would set them loose. And I'd tell them, okay, figure out how to beat Tesla at software, because there's probably not probably, there 100% likelihood that there are software possibilities that Tesla is not exploiting today because they're locked into the way that they have been developing things up until this point. And that is that's the vector where I think possibility is open. And no one across just about any sector is really, really taking that seriously, except for people who are all going and starting companies and building real things for themselves today.
Exactly. All right. Oh, all right. So, Joe, this one's to you.
Yeah, wireless charging. So Jeremy McCool, he's one of the heads over here at Hevo, and Hevo has what they call Beam Global, and it's a wireless technology for the charging, and it's fast. It's not like what people don't understand is that the charging capabilities, like I think Hans had mentioned it last week, like it's way more feasible now than it used to be, and it can produce a lot better than people think it can, because they're not realizing the improvements that have been made. And so uh I was in a chat with him, and he was talking about how they have a way to add a device for wireless charging even to the Cybertruck. And so he was talking about that because he had stated that when Tesla had claimed that it's too far, he's like, yeah, no, that's not true. It won't reach. And he was like, yeah, no, that's not true. It can reach. It'll be just fine. So they have a retrofit. It's pretty cool. And they're going to be wirelessly thinking about autonomy for all types of robotaxi vehicles. It's going to be a plug and play type of thing.
Yeah. Pretty cool. All right. Model Y versus Lambo. Spoiler alert. We know how this ends. The Model Y beat the Urus SE. So if you don't want to go and spend $350,000, there's another cheaper vehicle out there. The Model Y, I believe it was the Model Y Performance, right, Joe? Yeah, it's only 510 horsepower, but yeah. All right. So, Joe, what is the upbeat? How are we gonna end this?
I have no idea. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
This is our rapid this is our rapid fire section. Quick answers, you guys. Let's get it.
All right, let's get Brian. BYD fast charging 2.0 lifetime warranty.
So this is already something we're seeing in China. There are a couple of stations from a couple different brands that are already over a megawatt. These are happening, and these are LFP cells, so they're already very resilient. They're very long-lasting battery chemistry. Most people are never going to use it, never going to need it, but for those who do, they have it. They've even got cars now with 500-600 miles of pure EV range. Those are the people who are going to really want these faster charging speeds. It's all here. It's all real. It's all happening. And apart from Tesla, nobody in the West appears to even be trying to catch up.
I can't speak. I was on mute. Hans, to you. Scouts poised to sell well.
Are we sure about that? I'm sure that
Well,
yeah,
2028 was the caveat there. 2020, late 2027, 2028. So it's a few years away.
hey, journalists can be paid to sell executives whatever they want to hear, whenever they want to hear it, and to even try and snow consumers into that fact. But the proof will be in the pudding.
Yeah, and one thing we've learned from orders, right, is reservations. Especially, I don't know how much the reservation is for Scout. If it's $100, 250, it's good. It's for the company. That's what they can tell investors. And thankfully, this is VW backed, so this is going to be a company. But we'll see how they stand out because the way I see this is like another Rivian. So unless there's something really but they're also doing more of the hybrid route as well, so we'll see. That could appeal to more people, especially given all of these legacy companies have done that. But it'll be interesting to see, and the proof will be in let's see these on the road.
Yeah,
Well,
if only
that's
cost of
most of
goods
their
sold wasn't such a son of a bitch.
yeah, yeah, that's true. But yeah, most of their reservations are for the hybrid. So
Yeah, I would assume so. All right, Joe, GM shocked. They lead, don't they?
yeah. Yeah, they were very surprised that you can make a car faster when you add an electric motor to it. They set the world record, right? Well, the record for American built production vehicles just recently. They did a quarter mile, 8.67 seconds with the Corvette with the hybrid Corvette, and it was 0 to 60 in 1.68 seconds. So
Jeez.
it's a fierce beast. But man, the MSRP on that thing is $207,000, and that's still not going to be faster than than the Roadster when it comes out. But hey,
Hey, yep. All right. CA has plans to raise gas prices. Well, what's surprising here? Nothing. So California's special oil blend threatens to dry up, crippling the state and jacking up gas prices. So, hey, this could be signal to go get an electric vehicle. All right, Brian, Neuralink taking shape in Texas.
I don't know anything about this one, unfortunately. I can't help you there.
No worries. Well, it looks like they're building a factory out in Bastrop, and or facilities in Bastrop. So it's just, but Neuralink, as you guys know, they create the chips to help, paraplegics, people with ALS, and other things to really get mobility and really a lot of, really, I would say their voice back and give them, a lot of access to, being able to communicate again and really, do and interact on these laptops.
is this
And it,
facility, because it looks like it's going to have a moat around it? Is that what's from those images? It looks like it's going to have water
It
around
Who
it.
knows? It at least I'm assuming that this is where I went and saw some of their again they probably have multiple facilities out in because this is a Neuralink campus in Del Val. So who knows what they're gonna do, because I don't know if this is the same pot of dirt that I saw when I was out there.
I'm pretty sure the designer of this building was staring at an Imperial Stormtrooper, one of the scouts that rides the little bikes when they were
With their
designing that
helmets.
building. Yeah, that helmet.
All right.
Looks strangely familiar.
Exactly. All right, Hans, Norway says 12 people got jokes. Looks like 12 petrol cars in February were bought. Not 12,000, 12.
12. Wow. Yeah. Hey, that's a good number, 12. I like that. I think that's an appropriate number of ICE vehicles to sell.
Exactly. All right. Well, with that, we're just gonna close on two things real quick. We have weekly articles and Tesla news going out, so make sure you check out the Substack. Joe created an off-grid channel too. It's called TOSV Off Grid. And also too, as part of Hans's goodbye, I just got him. I ordered it, a Link 2C Pro. Brian, don't worry, we'll figure out how to get you one as well. But these cameras are really just great. You can see Joe just looks even fresher than he did on his other camera. He's got that. And then if you are in, a quick shout out to the Chattanooga Charge. If you are in the Midwest, Tennessee area, Kentucky, all those places, go check it out. I hear they're at like 200 plus attendees. I wouldn't be surprised if they get up to 400 or 500 people, but go give Josh and Amanda are amazing people in the community, and they would love to see you attend. So go give them some love if you're out there. But I wanted to just
And I will be there as well.
Exactly. You won't see Brian as far as he's not going to just talk about it. He is, as he does with his journalism, he's going to be boots on the ground there live. So say hi to him if you're going to be there. And then with that, I just wanted to take a moment to thank Hans for his time over the past year, for being a regular co-host here and for spending his hour each week every Friday with us. And so, thank you for your knowledge, expertise really in the AI space and all things Tesla and Musconomy. And we wish you all the best on your endeavors. I know you've said maybe you could stop in sometimes, but we're super thankful for you, and we will be watching you, all the things you're up to on the sidelines.
Yeah. Well, likewise, I've really enjoyed being here with each of you, and I really appreciate the audience who's been along for this journey as well. It's very helpful in motivating me to do research when I've got, things that I want to share, to know that, hey, if I do this, then there are places where I can share what I've learned. And so, yeah, I'm really appreciative of the audience, really appreciative of the time that I've got to spend here with you guys, with Farzad, with Herbert, these different outlets. And yeah, it's been incredible. I am excited to move into more building phase. But yeah, once we've kind of made some progress there, it'll be fun to come back and revisit some things and touch base with all my friends. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Last thing,
go build stuff.
Yeah, go build stuff. But how can people find you, man?
The best place is, mostly just on X, at Hans C. Nelson on X. That's where I will post a little bit of stuff that is going to come out. I have pretty much pulled back from even making anything on my YouTube channel for the time being either. And so, yeah, it's going to be building and occasional X posts.
And the C stands for compute, which is why he's doing what.
He's been buying a lot of GPUs. No,
quick shout out to the Mint 400. It starts in 30 minutes. See the Cybertruck race car. It's going to be in that. It's going to be pretty awesome.
How are you going to be on the track so fast, man? But yeah, either way, I hope everyone has a great week. We'll be, just thank you again, Hans, for your time. And Brian, thank you so much for joining us. It's like 1 a.m. there. So sleep well tonight, and we're looking forward to hearing and seeing all of the content you put out, from your experience out there in China.